So that is newly released surveillance footage from outside of Robb Elementary School in Uvalde as the shooter is approaching that elementary school. I did want to just warn everyone that if you don't want to watch any more of this footage, you don't have to. So just so you know, is going to be more sounds of gunfire and just the devastating sensation of helplessness as we all feel when we watch this, as well as horror. So I apologize for not issuing that warning first, but there's a lot more. In that video, we do see the shooter crash his truck, which we know sparked this entire incident. This is how it began. Crashes his truck in a ditch. 2 people come to try and help him. He fires at them, those 2 people run away. He then approaches the school and you heard a 911 call. That is a 911 call being made from a teacher who is on the phone and also then telling children to run and hide, to go into their classrooms, and you can hear the terror and the fear in her voice. The full hour-long video was just released yesterday by the Austin Statesman, a news outlet, and it has been obviously edited. It has been edited for the sounds of screaming children. So let's go to the second clip when the gunman actually does enter the school, and you can see a kid see this gunman and then run the other way. More than 100 rounds were fired, according to authorities. The gunman busting into a classroom and opening fire. Again, this was around 11:33 a.m. Please pay attention to the timestamp in the upper corner, right at the end of that clip. 3 minutes later, you see police fully armed and in tactical gear, bulletproof vests, etc., rushing in at the sound of that gunfire. What did they do? Did they break down the door? Did they apprehend him? No. Let's watch the third video. That is exactly what it looks like. Police officers running away, armed and dangerous, running from the very thing that they are supposed to be doing, which is saving children from a gunman who's open fired. They're there 3 minutes after he starts opening fire. We know there are people, there are children bleeding, dying, in need of assistance, and I'm counting about 8, Yasmin, but there are 8 of them. They hear the gunfire, they run the other way. We knew there was cowardice that day. I didn't know. I mean, I guess this is what it looks like, and I guess it just hurts just as much to see it.
Yeah, I actually hadn't watched the footage until right now because I didn't want to. It's really hard. It hurts your heart to see things like this. And I've actually covered this story pretty extensively over on Rebel HQ. And what we've been seeing quite a bit with the story from the beginning is people trying to get to the bottom of what happened that day at Robb Elementary, and others trying to block those people from doing so, whether at the state or at the local level. Now, this surveillance footage has been blocked heavily from the public until now, and we're seeing exactly why. We knew it would be bad. We knew that it would be hard to watch, especially when you know what the outcome of all of this inaction and incompetence actually was.
Absolutely, and mind you, we haven't even seen the part where they actually take down the gunman. This is minutes into this. And remember, this is after 57 minutes is when they finally do breach the door. Let's go to this next shot. You've got even more cops on the scene. Again, the claim was we don't have the manpower, the gunpower, the gear to do this job, to take down one guy. Let's take a look when they actually finally do. So that's actually, 77 minutes. Remember, it was the 78-minute mark that they actually went in and like shot the mass shooter. That's after more cops had arrived. You see in the beginning of that clip, one of the police officers sanitizing his hands with the wall sanitizer. Amazing the time people had to worry, maybe my hands aren't clean. There are children dying right now, and that's what they're doing. And again, obviously, cops follow orders except when you're asking them not to shoot you. And so it was not necessarily on any single one of those police officers to breach the door, but the fact that it was 78 minutes and we're seeing how many people were there, and we know, I mean, Yasmin, I look at that and I'm like, did they think there were like 12 dudes in there? Like, how many guys did they think were in there holding people hostage? Was there a note? No, there was none of that.
No, it's just a bunch of big, strong men in military gear letting children and school teachers die instead of them actually doing anything. That's what they're paid to do. But one thing that we need to remember about police forces, not just in this country, but around the world, is that they're there to pacify the public, not to serve and protect the people, but to serve and protect the moneyed interests that are running the country. There's a reason why police budgets increase regardless of whether or not crime goes up or whether it goes down. There's a reason why there are cops present in schools on days like this, and still 19 children and 2 teachers are killed. All of the military gear and the tactical training that's been eating up the majority of the Uvalde city budget, by the way, was for nothing. And they can still use this as an excuse to increase the budget going forward. In any other business or institution, you have to prove that your money is being spent efficiently. Otherwise, your budget gets cut, not inflated. It doesn't make any sense.
No, this is exactly my first thought when I saw this. I was like, first of all, none of these people should ever be able to show their face in Uvalde again. This is not a big community. And the idea of defunding the police in Uvalde, yeah, do that. Do that, because clearly with all the money that they're sucking out of your city's budget, they still cannot do this one thing, take down one guy, something that they actually had trained for, right? Oh, but if it's an unarmed black person with drugs, we got that. Oh, no. See, when they're unarmed, it's easier to shoot them dead. Amazing. So I just wanna go to, this footage is going to be used as part of the investigation into what happened. The Texas House Committee is investigating it. And they had planned to release the more than hour-long hallway surveillance footage to victims' families on Sunday and to the public soon thereafter. State Rep Dustin Burrows had said on Twitter. But Down actually Mayor Don McLaughlin at a city council meeting said that he was mad. He was mad the newspaper released the footage, said the actions were one of the most chicken things I've ever seen, and that some parts of the video should not have been released. I would counterpoint that and say one of the most chicken things I've ever seen are a half a dozen men or more. Now that like dozens and dozens of men in tactical gear not going in to save children when they're fully equipped to do so. And then he says there's no reason for families to have to see that. I mean, they were gonna see the video, but they didn't need to see the gunman coming in and hear the shots. They don't need to relive that. They've been through enough. Does the mayor have a point?
No, he has no point. People need to see where their money is being spent, and they need to see what's happening to the children in their community and to the people who serve those children in their community. They need to know what's going on in their community, and they need to see all the footage. They need to know who's in charge here, right? And should those people still be in charge? And we finally, way after the shooting, we finally saw Pete Arredondo step down from the city council after he was sworn in. What was it, the day after the shooting or a few days after the shooting? And he wouldn't step down. He didn't even release a statement because again, he was trying to protect the families. He didn't want to hurt them any more than he had already hurt them, right? What he said was even more than they had already been hurt, but it was him, it was his actions. He was the one who was largely responsible, not entirely, but he definitely had a very, very big role in this disaster that we saw.
This is the city council member?
Yeah. Well, yeah, he was the school police chief, and then like the next day, he was sworn into the city council.
I forgot. I missed that tidbit. Thank you, Yasmin. And of course, everybody, make sure you're watching Yasmin's coverage about this ongoing. I'm glad we're still talking about it. I'm sorry. Like, I think that, thank God, we're still talking about it. It's disgusting to have to learn all these new details of their cowardice and the cover up. But I think that it's like, no, these things should remain in the news. 19 children were murdered, so their names deserve to be remembered. And accountability, we need accountability.